What is going on, guys? Today we are going to completely break down troop formations in Kingshot, and more importantly, I want to show you which formations you should actually use for rallies, attacking, garrison, bear hunt, fortress battles, alliance championship, arena, and general PvP. A lot of players simply press quick select, send an equal number of troops, and assume the game has created the best march for them. But quick select is only giving you a balanced starting point. It does not mean that formation is optimal for every situation. So by the end of this guide, you will understand what infantry, cavalry, and archers are actually doing in a battle, why certain formations work better in certain events, and when you should change the formation depending on your troops and your account. First, let's understand the three troop types. Infantry are your front line and your main damage sponge. They have the highest health and defense, so they are designed to survive longer and absorb damage. Cavalry are your mobile damage dealers. Their biggest advantage is that they have a chance to bypass the enemy infantry and attack the archers directly. They also deal bonus damage against archers. And finally, archers are your main ranged damage dealers. They have extremely strong attack and lethality, and they deal bonus damage against infantry. This creates the basic counter system. Infantry are strong against cavalry are strong against archers, and archers are strong against infantry. But there is an important detail that many players misunderstand. These counters are not simply a one-time attack. Battles are made up of multiple rounds, and cavalry have a chance to bypass the infantry front line during those rounds and reach the archers. That is why the percentage of each troop type matters so much. Now let's start with the most common formation. The 50, 20, 30. That means 50% infantry, 20% cavalry, and 30% archers. This is a great general purpose formation for many normal attacks, rally joining, and alliance championship situations. If you are joining a normal rally and you don't have a specific formation requirement from your rally leader, 50, 20, 30 is a very safe starting point. The reason is simple. You have enough infantry to create a strong front line, enough cavalry to take advantage of their ability to bypass infantry, and enough archers to provide strong damage from the back. But this is not the only formation you should know. For garrisoning a city, alliance building, or other defensive positions, you generally want to move toward a 70-30 formation. That means 70% infantry and 30% cavalry, with little or no archers depending on the situation and the instructions of your alliance. Why? Because on defense, your infantry are extremely valuable. They are the front line protecting the rest of your troops, while cavalry provide another layer of damage and can potentially bypass the enemy front line. You normally don't want to fill a defensive garrison with a huge number of archers because archers are much more vulnerable when they are exposed. So for a standard defensive garrison, think infantry first, cavalry second. Now let's talk about bear hunt, because this is where your formation changes completely. For bear hunt rally joining, a common damage-focused formation is 10-10-80, 10% infantry, 10% cavalry, and 80% archers. And the reason is that bear hunt is heavily focused on damage output. Archers are your primary damage dealers, and they have the highest lethality among the three troop types in the context of this setup. So instead of wasting most of your march capacity on infantry, you want the majority of your march to be archers. The infantry and cavalry are still there, but they are mainly supporting the march while your archers do the heavy lifting. If you don't have enough archers to reach 80%, don't panic. Simply send the maximum number of archers you can and fill the remaining capacity with cavalry and infantry. Your troop availability always matters. This is something I want everyone to remember. A formation is a percentage target, not a magic number. If the game says you should use 80% archers, but you only have enough archers for 60% of your march, you cannot magically create the missing troops. Use the maximum archers you have and adapt the rest of the formation around them. Now let's move into fortress battles and major PvP. This is where blindly using one formation can become a mistake. For a normal offensive march, 50, 20, 30 is still a very strong starting point. But during large-scale fortress battles, your role matters. If you are joining a rally, follow the rally leader's requested formation. If the rally leader wants a specific troop ratio, use that ratio. If you are attacking independently, you can use a more balanced offensive formation, with enough infantry to survive while keeping a strong archer backline. And this is where you need to understand something that is more important than memorizing numbers. Your formation should match your objective. You are not trying to use the same formation everywhere. For damage-focused content, you want more archers. For defensive content, you want more infantry. For balanced PvP, you want a mixture. And for specialized strategies, you may even see players reduce cavalry dramatically. This brings us to one of the more interesting strategies from the current meta, the infantry and archer-focused formation. Some advanced players experiment with formations around 50% infantry and 50% archers, or something like 48% infantry, 4% cavalry, and 48% archers. The idea is simple. Instead of spreading your upgrades equally across all three troop types, you concentrate your strongest stats into infantry and archers. That can create a very powerful front line and an extremely strong damage backline. However, I would not tell a brand new player to immediately abandon cavalry. Early in the game, cavalry can be extremely useful, especially in arena and certain PvP situations. So don't take the infantry-archer strategy as a universal replacement for every formation. Think of it as an advanced account-building strategy that becomes more interesting as your heroes, equipment, research, and troop stats become stronger. Now let's talk about Alliance Championship. For Alliance Championship, a 50-20-30 formation is a strong general starting point. You want enough infantry to survive, cavalry to threaten the enemy archers, and archers to provide damage. But again, your alliance strategy matters. If your alliance has specific rally or garrison instructions, follow those instead of blindly using a formation from a YouTube video. Because the strongest formation on your account can still be the wrong formation if the entire alliance is using a coordinated strategy. Now let's talk about Arena. Arena is a little different because you are not simply sending a normal battlefield march. Your hero choices, positioning, and troop composition all matter together. A common advanced defensive concept is to place strong archers in the backline, where they can continue dealing damage while your front line absorbs attacks. This is another situation where simply pressing quick select isn't enough. Your formation needs to work with your heroes. And that brings me to one of the biggest mistakes I see players making. They copy a formation without checking their own account. If you copy 50-20-30 from a player who has millions of troops and completely different hero equipment, your results may not be the same. Your troop tiers, troop count, hero skills, equipment, research, charms, pets, and buffs all affect how effective a formation actually is. For example, if you don't have enough infantry to maintain a strong front line, a formation that looks perfect on paper may not work for you. The same applies to archers. If you are trying to run 80% archers, but you simply don't have enough archers available, your actual march will be completely different from the intended formation. So always look at the troops you actually have. Now here is the quick formation cheat sheet. For normal rally joining, start with 50-20-30. For general offensive PvP, 50-20-30 is also a strong starting point. For defensive garrison, move towards 70-30, focusing heavily on infantry with cavalry supporting. For bear hunt, use 10-10-80 when possible, putting the majority of your march into archers. For Alliance Championship, 50-20-30 is a strong general formation, unless your alliance gives you different instructions. For fortress battles, use your role to decide the formation. Rally joining, attacking, and garrisoning can require different troop ratios, so don't treat the fortress as one single formation. And for advanced infantry archer strategies, formations around 50-0-50 or 48-4, 48 can be tested once your account is developed enough to support the strategy. But there's one final rule I want you to remember. There is no single best formation in Kingshot. The best formation is the one that matches the battle, your role, your troops, and your account strength. Your infantry are the shield. Your archers are the damage. Your cavalry are the pressure that can bypass the front line and punish the enemy backline. Once you understand that, formations stop being random numbers like 5, 2, 3, or 7, 3. You start building your marches based on what you actually need from the battle. So before your next rally, don't just press quick select. Ask yourself, am I attacking, defending, joining bear hunt, garrisoning, or fighting in a major PvP event? Then choose the formation that fits the job. And most importantly, if your alliance or rally leader gives you a specific formation, follow their instructions. Coordinated formations will almost always be more valuable than everyone randomly using their own favorite setup. Hopefully this guide cleared up formations and finally explains why you shouldn't use the same troop ratio for everything in Kingshot. If this helped you, make sure to subscribe because I'll be covering more Kingshot strategies, events, heroes, gear, and advanced PvP guides. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.